steps are cool at dawn. Olive leaves still hold the night. Smoke is curling slow and thin. Names I whisper to the light. Sing, oh, sing to the stones and sky. Let the old words rise. Let the old words rise.
So folkens, welcome back to another video. We are heading into part 3 of Brothers Gracchi with extra history. Last episode was pretty good. I really liked Tiberius. I think he's great. And land reforms, it was pretty shocking to me because we have seen like First Punic War, second, the Macedonian Wars, the Illyrian Wars, and stuff like that. And it's pretty insane to see like how badly the soldiers were paid. Like Rome is it's a military kingdom. It's like it's built on its military. It's in the most insane expansion area right now, and your soldiers are like that. It's pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, Rome is pretty old at this point. I know it's just recently really got into like the expansions, but like we saw in like War Simplified, like how it like expanded over the hundreds of years. I think at this point Rome is probably like 500 years old. So it's, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty young, but it's actually really old. So corruption and a bit of trickery with the tradition is not uncommon. So yeah, I'm pretty curious to see like with Tiberius and like what happens and what is going to happen here. What is most important in Roman politics, having rich friends or the people on your side? I guess we'll figure that out.
All bounds of Roman tradition, deposing a tribune so that he might get his way. But even as he pushed his reforms through with the people, other sentiments were brewing. Tiberius secured the vacated position of tribune for one of his clients and began the survey of Roman public lands to enact his law. But once all was calm, the dismissal of the tribune Octavius sat well with no one. Even some of the public who had supported Tiberius looked with shame on how they'd let their republic be controlled by fickle whims. So he looked to shore up his support with the public when the perfect opportunity fell into his hands. The king of Pergamum died, and in his will, he left his kingdom to Rome.
Yeah, I learned that recently because I was really curious about like how did that happen, because like we saw in like the war in like the Macedonian Wars, how like and even in the Seleucid War, that Macedon was like a pretty big ally to Rome. So I was curious, like, why do I see a map here where Rome kind of conquers Pergamon? But then I was told like it was given to him in like his will. It was given to Rome in his will because he didn't have an heir. That's such a wild move to do, but it does kind of make sense, right? Like you don't really have any allies around you. Rome is your closest ally. You could probably give like, if you put your territory into a will with the and just in your kingdom, your people will probably get like a pretty fair treatment by Rome. Maybe.
This may sound shocking, but he had no heir, and he didn't want his people to face a civil war.
Yeah, I'm curious to see also like why did he not have an heir? Couldn't he get kids or something?
war, or eventually a war with Rome. He could better safeguard them by ensuring their good treatment in his will than by facing Rome on the battlefield.
True.
Tiberius seized on this and said that the wealth of the king should be used to give poor farmers the tools they needed to get their farms started. And while the Senate was debating on how to administer the cities of the realm, Tiberius declared that this was not a matter for them to discuss, and that he himself would personally submit a proposal to the people. The Senate was incensed. Foreign affairs had always been the purview of the Senate. Now, even those senators who had previously stayed on the sidelines got involved. On the floor of the Senate, senator after senator began to give speeches berating Tiberius for acting like a king. One of these speeches stung so deep that Tiberius ran out of the Senate house, gathered the people, and ordered that the senator who spoke be brought before them. So Tiberius...
Oh, okay. Skipping the Senate and candidates. I don't like the Roman Senate, but it's there for a reason. It's there to ensure that one person doesn't become a king. So, like, even though Tiberius is like, we know Tiberius is the good guy. We know Tiberius is doing what is right for the people. There's still a system in place, and that system is there for a reason. Could the system be better? Yes, absolutely. And again, I'm saying that as someone who's in the European Union, the most slowest system there is. But it's there for a reason, and it's still for a reason. It is to ensure stability. It's there to ensure that one person doesn't just erase everything another person does and then change deals too fast, and ensure that, because when you do that, a lot of people will feel a lot of pain and they will be forgotten, and then people would hesitate to work with you. It's that simple. And again, I'm pretty sure the Senate is pretty mad because then they can funnel some of that money into their own pockets. But Tiberius does need to have the Senate be part of it. Otherwise, the system might crack a bit.
could denounce him, but the senator simply said to the people,
because Tiberius is doing this system right now for the good of the people. However, other people, he's not going to be there forever, and other people are going to come in, and they might not do that.
Wish to heap insult upon me and degrade me, and I invoke the aid of one of thy colleagues in office, and he mount the rostra to speak in my defense, and thou fly into a passion, come, wilt thou deprive that colleague of his office? This was a sarcastic reference to the removal of Octavian. And seeing the effect this had on the people, Tiberius simply dismissed the assembly and let the senator go. But now, fearing for his life and needing the sacrosanctity that came with being a tribune, Tiberius ran for tribune again. And I should mention that in 200 years, no man had ever served as tribune twice in a row. He started making all sorts of promises to the people about what he would do as tribune.
Yeah, again, kind of a hint to the real world. A lot of reason that a lot of dictators, as an example, wants to stay in power as much as possible. It's because they're pretty scared of their life for good reason, because they did horrible things. So when they lose that power, it's goodbye. Now, he's obviously not scared of the people of him, but he's scared of the Senate because people can't really protect him.
Not all of which might be seen as in the best interests of Rome. But even this was not enough. On the day of the vote, Tiberius was clearly falling behind. His friends stood up and made speeches and hurled insults at the other candidate in an attempt to slow things down, managing to stall just long enough that the voting had to be closed for the day. They would be back the next day, and they would be rallying many more of their supporters to bring to the forum. At dawn, against many ill omens, Tiberius went to the forum for the election. A great crowd was gathered, but the voting couldn't be started. A disturbance on the periphery of the crowd kept interrupting the proceedings as the vote was being called to order. Then, a senator standing in the crowd motioned to Tiberius that he wished to speak. Tiberius waved to the crowd to let him through. The senator came forward with a warning. He stated that a faction of wealthy Romans planned to have Tiberius assassinated. The men close enough to hear this armed themselves with clubs and prepared for violence.
Oh. The question is, did he know that there were people ready to listen to that, or is this just a coincidence?
Those a little further off, confused over this commotion, tried to ask what was going on, but the tumult of the crowd was too great. So Tiberius rose up and pointed to his head to indicate that his life was in danger. But this wasn't
Ooh.
exactly a clear signal. At the border of the crowd, one man saw this and
No, how's this?
immediately ran to the Senate to tell them that Tiberius was asking for a crown. The Senate, shocked at this, called upon the consul to act, but the consul merely
Oh.
replied that, hey, if the people voted for anything unlawful, he would nullify the vote. Chill out. This was not a satisfactory answer for one of the senators, though, who leapt to his feet
my
with the
God.
words, "Since then the chief magistrate betrays the state, do ye who wish to succor the laws follow me." And with many like-minded senators and
Oh my God. No, 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 no. We're going to have a street brawl because of this.
their attendants in tow, he marched toward the forum, grabbing clubs and staves and even the legs of benches to enact what they saw as the law. They lay into the crowd
Oh
with their
my
cudgels,
God.
and a panic began. Tiberius's men tried to fight back, but in the whirling melee and the trampling throng, Tiberius fell as he tried to escape, and his assailants fell upon him. One beat him with the leg of a bench, another with a stone, until at last he and 300 others lay dead in the forum. After this came the retributions. More of
No.
Tiberius's followers were executed or exiled. The bodies of those who had defended him were tossed into the Tiber. And when Gaius asked for his brother's body, he was denied, for even Tiberius had been thrown into that river for which he was named.
Whoa. Okay, I did not expect him to be killed like that. Damn. Hey. I kind of have a bad feeling that this is not going to end well.
It was the first great act of political violence in the Roman Republic, and it would set the tone for the next 100 years. In Roman law, a
Really? We're kind of heading into that period. Did not know that we were kind of heading into this kind of Rome.
tribune was sacrosanct, which meant that it wasn't just a crime but a sacrilege to harm them. It was the highest taboo, and the stabilizing factor that kept the Roman Republic from descending into a rule of the strong. But now that taboo was shattered, and once a
Yeah.
collective taboo is broken, there's no going back.
Yeah. The second politics becomes violent, it's really, it's easy to have politics turn violent. It's impossible to turn it back. And it never ends well.
Violence had now been introduced into political life, and no democracy can survive the weight of violence.
Yeah.
But our story doesn't end here. Tiberius was known to be of a calm and
Yeah, you can. There's some people that say that you can't talk to somebody who's had different opinions as you. You can, but it's really tough, and I understand why people don't really always do that. You can't talk to somebody who's scared of you, who believes that the second they lay down their guard, you're gonna stab them in the back. That's why violence in politics is impossible to stop again, because the other side then gets paranoid, not just about like policy, but their life, and that's when it's just over.
Disposition. But he wasn't the only Gracchi brother. Join us next time as Gaius takes up his cause.
All right. Guy is going to revenge his brother, and we are gonna have more violence. Great. I gotta be honest, I feel like it was a bit too easy killing Tiberius, not gonna lie. But yeah, thank you to Extra History. If you guys wanna check out the full video, it will be down in the description. Yeah, great video. Yeah, if you guys want to check out some more history, I will have it up on screen. If you guys want to check out some more some myths and mythology, I will have it up on screen too. So yeah, see you guys later. Bye.
Bare feet in the furrowed ground, dust on my tongue, heat bearing down, sun like a hammer on my back, name I was born with, they took that. But my chains float soft like water, running through this tired soul. You can bind my hands together, you can't cage what rivers know.